Fox News alert, the Supreme Court just froze Biden's billion-dollar student loan bailout. The bailout was supposed to bribe young voters to vote for the Harris-Biden campaign, but the Supreme Court says bribing voters before an election won't work. Who would have thought? But the Harris-Biden White House won't give up on college bribes. They might have a few tricks up their sleeves, so we're going to keep you updated. Kamala is responsible for the open border, but now her campaign says she was never border czar and she wants to build a wall. Have you ever heard or even mentioned migrant crime? I haven't, and it's getting worse. In New Orleans, a migrant who was denied entry by Trump but let back in by Kamala, the border czar, was just charged with negligent homicide after crashing into a man on a motorcycle. In Philly, an MS-13 gang member from El Salvador was arrested after he fired at moving cars, trying to murder 8 Americans. And in Houston, a criminal illegal on the most wanted list was just arrested. Kamala and Joe's open border doesn't just overwhelm border security, it widens the market for human trafficking. The number of people trafficked worldwide has quadrupled since 2008. Quadrupled. And the Justice Department ranked human trafficking as one of the world's fastest growing criminal enterprises, raking in over $150 billion a year. This isn't a foreign crisis. It's happening here, right under our noses. Men, women, and children are being forced into modern-day slave-like conditions. A new film, City of Dreams, follows Jesus, a young boy from Mexico who came to the United States with dreams of becoming a soccer star. But that all changes when he's trafficked across the border and sold into a sweatshop in L.A.
Any reason you rolled through that stop?
I'm sorry. That's your son?
Yes.
Got any ID for the boy?
Yeah.
Watch the stops.
To a 2018 red Mustang belonging to Rodrigo Ramirez.
Rise and shine, homie. Rise and shine.
First shift 6:30, second shift 12:30. Last shift till 11, and boom, lights out at midnight.
Jesus' story isn't fiction. There are thousands of kids in the United States who are going through unspeakable horrors because of the human trafficking industry. The politicians are silent, and legacy media won't report it. It's taking alternative media like A City of Dreams to shine a light on this epidemic.
I've been making films for a long time, and every now and then you come across a film that is actually truly important, not just entertaining, but can change your entire outlook on life. This is one of them.
It should make all of us uncomfortable that we live in the United States where we claim an American dream that has become an American nightmare for so many. I don't care whether you're on the left or the right or black or white, we can unite around the fact that child slavery and child trafficking is wrong. We need to step up and do something about it.
Author, speaker, and executive producer Tony Robbins and director of the film, Mo Ramchandani, join us now. So, Tony, you realize whenever anybody, especially of your stature, gets involved in the human trafficking coverage, they are just annihilated. There's just a ton of bricks just get dropped on them. Are you ready for that?
Well, I went through it on the previous film, Sound of Freedom. We had the same situation. But, you know, on July 4th weekend last year, we beat out Disney with all their money because people were so moved by the film. And my wife and I have been involved in this for 8 years. It's not a side hustle for us that we do. We've freed about a little more than 50,000 children we've funded the freedom of, and we've actually gone out on those. I've gone undercover with scars on my face. The ugliest things you could ever imagine in your life happening to our children, but also the beauty is when they're freed. And Mo has built this film that is, you know, when you hear 10 million people, 11 million coming over the border, or you hear them talk about 300,000 children we've misplaced, we don't know where they are, it's too big. But when you follow one child's life, and especially this one because it's a thriller and keeps you on the edge of your seat, but also it's a hero's journey because this young man, against all odds, not only frees himself, but everybody else too. So it's a call to action to wake people up to what's really happening in the world. Think about slavery. Uncle Tom's Cabin is what changed slavery. It was a storyteller that upset people enough that people wouldn't put up with it anymore. That's what we hope this is the beginning of.
Yeah, you got to tell these stories. So, Mo, what moved you to make a film like this?
Well, you know, Jesse, my family are originally from a province in India called Sindh, that's now Pakistan. They were thrown out of their home. And my father, when he was 7 years old, he worked in a sweatshop in sweatshop-like conditions. So the idea was always there. But when I moved to America, and I became a filmmaker, I read a case about 72 immigrants trapped in a house in El Monte, California, like, 40 minutes from where I live. And I was disgusted. Like, I got into it and I couldn't believe how much of it was happening. And it wasn't at the time when I wrote the script years ago being reported in the mainstream media. And I contacted a friend who connected me with someone in the Labor Department, and he was saying, hey, there are tons of these cases of kids who are trapped in houses in the Bay Area and they're making products. And so that was really my motivation, is I couldn't believe that this was happening here. We know it's happening in India and China, but to see it up this scale today in America was shocking.
It is shocking, and you'd think the media would report that. The media loves children. We all love children. The media is always talking about protecting the children. They say they're interested in corporate corruption. Why do you think the media is so afraid to cover this trafficking industry, especially with kids?
Well, I do know that the New York Times...
Yeah, go ahead, Mo.
Sorry. No, go ahead. I was just going to point out the New York Times did report last year that Hannah Dreier at the New York Times did a big expose about how 300,000 migrant children had been lost, and many of them were sold into labor and sex trafficking and, were in supply chains of big corporations. But there hasn't been much after that.
No, there's been no follow-up, and no one talks about it. I mean, if Trump had lost, I don't want to make this political because it's not. I mean, if Trump had lost 300,000 kids, that would have been all you heard about, Tony.
Yeah. It's so unfortunate, but I think the truth of the matter is people have to have emotion. If I asked you where you were on 9/11, even if you're not American, you remember where you were, who was around you. If I ask you where you were on 8/11, no one knows. It's because information without emotion is barely retained. And when the numbers are so big, people just get overwhelmed. So again, when you follow the single story of a child and you feel what they feel and see what they see, that's what fires people up. And this film, by the way, got 100% Rotten Tomatoes. It's the highest rated film the studio's seen in 5 years. It's at 86% Rotten Tomatoes right now with everybody's input. It is a thriller that'll move you. Our goal is produce enough emotion that people want to do something about it. Write their congressman, donate to some organizations where you can save a child's life for $500. We have kids doing that, to give you an idea. Or volunteer your time. But first see the film and let it move you. It's pretty phenomenal.
Usually when you come out with things like this, they get censored. I expect this movie to get censored, or somehow they'll try to discredit it. Is that happening so far?
Well, Mo, why don't you share what's happened with some of our lead people that are sending out on social media? It blew my mind.
Yeah, it's funny. I talked to Tony today. Like, we've heard that some influencers, we're still investigating it, that posted on Instagram were shadow banned for posting about the film and about child trafficking. This is what we were told. We're investigating it. We were also told the same about TikTok, but we literally just found out a few hours ago, and I called Tony, and it's a little scary, because for me, I just wanted to make a film. I wanted to show people what happens to these kids and let them make up their own minds. I have no political agenda with it at all. I think Vivek said it best. It doesn't matter if you lean left or right. This is about children. So
yeah, it's about scary. Protecting the children, and Tony,
and hopefully.
Go ahead.
And, so hopefully, Zuckerberg yesterday made his apology. So our hope is it's just an old algorithm and they'll get it corrected right away, because there's no reason not to let people be exposed to this film. There's nothing in it that isn't accurate.
Yeah, they always blame the algorithm. I wonder who's writing the algorithm. That's the problem. All right, City of Dreams. You can see it coming to a theater near you. Thank you guys so much. Mo and Tony, always a pleasure. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Jesse.
Of course.
Thank you.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.